a bidding process. And what I've been saying for years is, whoever gets this property, it's an open, transparent bid process. Doesn't matter if they wanted to give us $2 billion, they would have to bid. They would have to go out to bid on this property. That's the requirement.
So you did not favor that proposal because it was
I love the idea, but I told them that they would have to go out to bid, and apparently they do not want to bid.
Ms. Lentz, that proposal.
Why are you interrupting me?
I thought you were done. Oh, you're not done? Go ahead.
Are there any other questions? Did I skip anything?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
I thought he was done. He's done. Huh? May I say something?
Briefly.
Yeah, I don't think that it should be sold, and that's an if. Right? And what went along with that was exclusive rights, like the H-track giveaway, where the person who receives it chops it up and sells it, makes all the money, and the city derives nothing.
I would like to comment. We're not giving it away. We're selling it.
Well, I'm against that. I'm for leasing it. If it's
look at the money the taxpayers would knock off of the budget.
Well, just cut the spending of government.
You can cut spending,
and you don't have to get rid of a land bank property that we should save.
I could operate easy on $190 million tomorrow.
Does that say you want casinos on Bader
but
Field?
$76 million is pretty hard to cut off of a budget.
You want casinos at Bader Field, right?
Okay. As long as
no casinos at Bader Field.
Now I don't understand why you told me to.
I don't want to. I shouldn't get into this.
No casinos at Bader.
Mayor Langford, you said you have a plan that you were going to unveil about Bader Field, and we never heard it. What's that about?
You'll hear it today. I think that there are some property owners in town who own an appreciable amount of acreage that would be willing to swap with the city that which they own for a piece of Bader Field. We can tie certain conditions and restrictions to that switch in order to fast-track development at Bader Field. I am convinced that if, for an example, since you're referencing Penn Gaming, if Penn Gaming owns 18 acres on Route 30, 12 acres thereabouts, which are developable, if the city were to switch or flip 12 acres at Bader Field for 12 acres on Route 30, I think Penn Gaming would jump all over that. If you tie to that the incentive that they have to get a shovel in the ground by a certain time and that construction will have to be completed by a certain time, I think you can jumpstart development at Bader Field. I am prepared to roll that out to any property owner in the city of Atlantic City that owns 10 contiguous acres or more, and I think they would be happy to switch for the land at Bader Field. The reason being, Bader Field is the most prime piece of real estate, not only in the city, but probably on the East Coast. If you just envision for a moment coming into Atlantic City via the expressway, you see what is currently the rear or the back of Bader Field. Just by connecting an off-ramp from the expressway to Bader Field, what is the rear of Bader Field now becomes the front. You also have access on Route 40. So 2 out of the 3 major roadways into Atlantic City pass by Bader Field. That's what makes it the most prime piece of real estate in the city. We all know in real estate the 3 most important things are location, location, and location. So if I've got 18 acres on Route 30 where you're never going to be able to build a casino, and if you do, you're at such a competitive disadvantage it doesn't make sense. If I offer you 12 acres at Bader Field for 12 acres on Route 30 with the proviso that you jumpstart development, I think we got a good chance of it happening.
Well, why would the city, though, want to swap this prime real estate for what is not as prime real estate?
Carl, I can't believe you asked that question.
I'm curious.
No, because we want to get development started. Right now, what's happening at Bader Field? Absolutely nothing. So why would the city want to switch 12 acres of prime real estate? That's exactly the reason why, so that we can hopefully get some development started over there.
Would you be getting any money in at the same time on this? I mean, would they just swap, an even swap, and start?
It's an even swap for something of equal value. Maybe take Pinnacle. Maybe if Pinnacle owns 10 acres, maybe the equivalent of the 10 acres that they own is 15 acres at Bader Field. Whatever it is of equal value, you make the swap with the proviso that they have to put a shovel in the ground and get construction started and completed by a date certain. That's how you jumpstart development at Bader Field.
Can I ask, because
Sure.
a lot of the talk around your plans for Bakersfield also revolved around, I think you said 2 developers that you had been speaking with. When we were talking about some of these plans coming out, I, for one, was expecting to hear maybe the names of these. I've been trying to get it out of you for some time.
You will in time.
In time?
Mm-hmm.
And how much?
Not today.
Okay.
Good try.
Is the mayor allowed to be speaking to developers outside of the council's plan?
Absolutely.
Is that true?
Absolutely.
Is that
I
true?
missed that. What?
Is the mayor allowed to be going about seeking development of Baderfield outside of the council's?
I don't think any proposal that the mayor makes can make that decision without going back to the local finance board in Trenton because of this,
Well, if
I'll
there's
call it the Whalen Bill.
subdivision of the land, you get
If
subdivision of the land.
if Penn Gaming or Pinnacle or the Bashar Group or Dennis Gomes or anybody else contacts me and asks the question, what is my desire for Baderfield and what do I think the city wants to do with Baderfield, I have every right to have that discussion.
Are you for casinos?
And I will continue to have that discussion. And as I've said, I believe the best use for Baderfield is to marry developing it to the highest and best use, which obviously in this market is a casino of some kind. But you have to marry that with other non-gaming attractions, which the city sorely needs. So a hybrid or combination of the two is the best use, mixed use for Baderfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt these guys, but the most troubling thing to me in following what our elected officials were doing with regard to Bader Field was that when the city contracted out for the specific request for proposal through the firm, there was a clause in that request for proposal process that the press was, I think Mr. Clark was careful in pointing out that our elected officials were not supposed to be having side negotiations with developers outside of the official agency. And at least from following it with the public meetings and the press, it seemed that there was that type and level of negotiations going on both with the mayor and with Mr. Mason. Now, I could be mistaken on that, but going back further, one of the biggest stigmas on Atlantic City with regard to bringing developers to town is the corruption. We have elected officials that went to jail for taking bribes and for not following the clear and proper process for developing land. Now, the biggest thing that Atlantic City could do for developers is to set out those clear processes and to follow it. I'm tired as a citizen of having our elected officials conducting side deals because for a developer, instead of realizing, okay, how good should my proposal be, they're realizing, well, which elected official do I need to bribe and how much? So that's my first objection to the way that it's been conducted. And my second comment, just to you guys were talking for a while, I'm against casino gaming in Baderfield for at least 10 years. And the reason for that is, if you look at Revel, Revel is struggling to obtain financing for this mega resort. Now, one of the ways that they're able to convince whether it's a foreign investor or a domestic investor is that there are certain conditions that will be stable. Now, if you open up this prime piece of real estate that people would exit the expressway before even going onto the island, that's going to make it tougher for Revel to continue to get their financing and for the city to find somebody to develop the MGM piece of land over in the Marina District, as well as that gaping hole that our elected officials have allowed to be right there at the middle of the boardwalk where Pinnacle should be built. So I'm against casino gaming for at least 10 years to allow Revel to get financing to be built, and I think that when that's built, another mega resort will come to town, seeing how successful Revel is. Allowing casino gaming at Baderfield would be horrible, and also having these side negotiations is horrible for development as well.
I would like the floor.
Go ahead, I'll yield.
I have to address this Mr. Mason comment. Mr. Mason had no conversations with anyone, even Michael Clark, any developer, after the process was presented to the local finance board. That was one of the stipulations. No conversations. Anyone that wanted to know anything was referred to Jones Lang LaSalle, who was our marketing company out of New York.